I'm Tim Musgrove, and I'm going to tell you how Tenmos is going to help a lot of publishers find more people and better monetize their content. If you're like me, you're probably kind of sick and tired of hearing about online advertising and how they track you with your cookie and everything. And I feel like that's so 2006. We've been hammering that to death ever since then. But a couple of things have changed in the last year or so that create new problems in online advertising. So, welcome to 2013, and we've got the first thing, that the cookie is going away. Mobile devices don't have them, and now browsers have do not track modules and things. And so advertisers are beside themselves. How do I get an audience segment with no cookie? The other thing is marketers are being told they got to do mainly content marketing and not do display ads anymore. Well, that gives them a whole other thing that they have to optimize against. Out of that ocean of content, pick a few pieces to do your content marketing campaign. You got to pick the right ones and then relabel them and maybe retitle them. It's a big challenge. So that's where Tenmos starts to come in. We're a content intelligence platform as a service. What that means is that we tell you everything that you want to know about the content and 6 different ways to recast it, retitle it, rephrase it. I'm going to explain how that solves these problems that I'm talking about. First of all, let's look at there being no cookie. You would think that without a cookie, we can't tell very much about you just from the one piece of content you're reading right now, other than the obvious, oh, it's a sports page. But actually, you would be surprised how much we can infer about you from what you're reading right this moment. Like your sophistication level, are you reading at a 12th grade level or down at a 5th grade level? Is what you're reading something that has a political leaning, maybe to the left or to the right? Does slang in the text indicate that you're reading material that's part of the youth hip culture, so you're probably a younger person? And I could go on and on and on. These are ways that we can give marketers an ability to segment you without there being any cookie in there at all. Let's go back to the content marketing side of it. We actually develop meta content through our API and software, not just metadata. That means content derived from your content. That's things like headlines, alternative summaries. There's not just one headline that's the best headline for an article. There's 5 different ones that bring out different dimensions that perform better in different contexts. Ditto for summaries that should be slanted different ways. So the good thing about this is we can plug into the buy side also and derive rev share from the advertising side, so we don't have to derive all of our revenue from the publishers. We have a veteran team doing this that has 2 successful exits under our belt and a rich technology stack that we dragged along when we spun out of the last parent company. So we're poised to bring these solutions to publishers and marketers at a time when their need for it is at an unprecedented level. Thanks.
All right. Woo! I'm a 7th grade conservative with bad spelling. All right. Jenny, we'll start with you.
All right, well, I work at a very big media company, and this is very relevant for us, but our problem is that our content is very unstructured, our data, and so how would you help our taxonomy to be able to utilize something like this?
Yeah, well, what we've done is we've dealt with unstructured prose text for a long time, and it's been proven at CNET and Federated Media and IDG and other companies. So to make it extremely short, we're just really good at gleaning meaning from unstructured text and not making it beholden to a static taxonomy. That's very important. It's very organic. It develops the meaning from the distribution of what people are talking about now, doesn't shoehorn it into some pre-decided editorial taxonomy.
So do you work with the publishers to
We absolutely work with the publishers, and we know that they need to feel visibility and transparency and a sense of editorial control over the process end to end. And that was honestly one of our big hurdles, was to learn how to work with those people. So those kind of partnerships are really in our DNA.
Rob, go your way.
Yeah, I high level, I love this technology and what you're doing. I think the timing could be very good to do this for the reasons you laid out. The idea of title generation, the way you might reorient content, and the idea of using this to target advertising. What I think would be helpful is, and you probably can't address it now, is to better understand the productization of this. So are you a tools company for media companies, or are you a way to generate better inputs for advertising networks and DSPs, et cetera, to be able to better target advertising? And that's the piece that I couldn't understand from the presentation.
Real good question, hard to do in a soundbite. The only quick answer is that those guys you're mentioning are fighting over that right now, so it's why we have to be on both sides of it right now. Some of the larger publisher networks, they don't want to use Outbrain or something. They want to put their own solution out there to invite promoted discovery with brands, so they want to come right to us and get the technology. But the platforms the ad agencies are using, completely apart from the publishers, want to use it as well. So it's the verdict is still out in the industry at large. Who is going to own, this type of control? So we're going to work with everybody who's willing to pay.
Howard.
So I don't need a response. I'll just say you only have 3 minutes, which is tough, and I think you did make a good description of the product, but it was just a product pitch and it wasn't a business pitch. So I couldn't get a sense for, are you able to sell? How are you going to sell? Who are you going to sell to? What are you going to charge them? How big is the market? How easy it is going to be to sell? I mean, kind of all those things. It's tough in 3 minutes, but you got to do it anyway.
Completely fair. Thanks for the tip.
Jed.
One thing I was unclear of, is it 100% algorithmic, or is there a human element at all here? And I ask because we have a company called Boost CTR that does copywriting at scale, and we have 1,000 copywriters that compete to write better ads, and they A/B test everything and it works. But we have found that human curation, or whatever you want to call rewriting it, works better than the algorithmic.
I'd love to tell you case studies where people just like that can come in and we can let one of those human individuals do the work of 20 by a beginning and end approach, where they define what's going to happen at the beginning, then they let our algorithm run for a while to accelerate it, and then they check again at the end and have that last little bit of editorial control. They'll get 20 times as much work done in a day at the same level of quality.
Cool. All the way over to the end.
Yeah, I guess the only comment I had is it was hard for me to visualize what the product would look like in action and the kind of impact it would actually have on me as a consumer. And so it was hard, as someone who doesn't buy media and someone who doesn't actually publish professionally, I had a hard time wrapping my head on how the product actually manifests itself. But that's
The right relevant content would be in front of you at the right time, and something that wouldn't feel like an ad because it would be content that would have value.
I got a good sense for the technology pitch, but not the product experience.
Yeah.
So I would have liked that.
Product experience, business model stuff. Time's up, Tim.
Thanks.
Get some wine. You can connect with Tim